Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing this morning? Oh, I'm here and I'm kind of on time. What the what? Oh, wait. Comments. Oh, okay. Can you guys, if you guys will do me a huge favor and just say hey and let me know where you're joining from, that would be awesome. If you're feeling generous this morning, if you would like and share the video, that would be a blessing as well. So thank you guys so much for joining. Those of you who are on. Today, we're be doing a lazy Susan. I've already taken the liberty of painting the little inside with white primer. Lord, I have no words. Good morning, Kathy. Or good afternoon. I know it's still morning for me, girl. Um, hey, Verla, how are you doing? Quincy, Illinois. Are you guys still frozen over there? Hey, Diane. Next chapter decor. Good morning. Alyssa, hey, how are you? Hey, Sylvia. So, you guys, I scored this Lazy Susan. I actually scored like a bunch of them. It's kind of weird. A while ago, and even though it like you see wood grain, it's not really wood. It's that compressed wood stuff. So, I'm not like painting over really good wood or anything. Um, but we are gonna work on this project. Oh man, I told myself I was gonna upload a picture. Let me see if I can find it on my phone and see if I can upload it for you guys because I want you guys to see my inspiration. And you guys notice how whenever I come to you guys with an idea that I'm generally inspired by something else, right? I know that a lot of times when you guys see creatives, you think that we just um, magically come up with ideas out of nowhere, but most of the time we are inspired by something else, if we're being honest. Let me see. I think it might be in this folder. Oh Lord, I don't even know why I thought I was going to be able to go to Pinterest and just find it for you guys. Now that I'm thinking about like the 300,000 pins that I have, I know that that's going to be pretty impossible. I do have one though at paint finish. I'm going to show you guys something really quickly. This is just boards, you guys. That's not even pins. Those are just my boards. I'm just absolutely ridiculous. Elemental P. Paint. I thought I had one like paint finish. Okay, I'm lied. I'm not gonna be able to show you guys because I can't find it. But I'll tell you guys. So there is this industrial finish, and it's like some old light fixtures, and they're black, but there's like red peeking from underneath. And so that is the inspiration for what we're going to do today. So I have some red paint, and we're going to be using the black milk paint today, or almost black milk paint. And because it's almost black, I'm going to finish it with black wax. So that's going to be the edges. And then in the middle piece here, we are going to be using the botanical blocks decoupage paper. So this is one of the new Recycle Treasures designs. This half is like neutral, and this half is green, pink and green. And I wish I could show you guys because there's actually like crackly paint in there. And so there's like texture underneath all of the prettiness. There is like some crackling and a little bit of rust underneath there as well. Hello, Sylvia from Germany. Ooh, hey. Hey, Allie. Oh, it's dark and wet. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. It's sunny here. We have 65 today, so it's a nice day today. Hey, Chris, how are you this morning? Although, Chris, I think it's afternoon for you too, isn't it? Let me go up. I was going to try to find, and I meant to try to upload it before, but it just didn't happen. Oh, Jenny, I should know that, Jenny, right? How are you doing, Jenny? Um, so I'm going to show you guys a thumbnail of this paper so that you guys can get a better sense of it. And we're going to use this to update this Lazy Susan that I scored at the thrift store. Oh, it's this one. So this is the paper, and we're going to use the neutral side on the Lazy Susan today. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off this side. And I have two pieces here too. I should probably not do that. That's dangerous. Um, where are all my big scissors? What the what? I hope you guys are having a fabulous day today. Mine's been pretty good so far. So far, so good. I spent most of the morning prepping for the live today, though. I did sleep in till 9 today. It felt really good. So, let me trim this. And you guys, we are going to be live this evening with chatting and crafting with Royce and David. And that will be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I found a really cool cigar box. So I'll be upcycling that, and we're going to be putting some feet on it. So that one's going to be really fun. So like I could use this part right here, right? And just have like a little bit, let me see. Oh, I love this topography along the side here. And I could have my little birdie peeking in and a little topography. But I think that what I really want is this right here. I'm like really digging this. There's a little bird in the branch right here. I don't want to cut his head off. So I know that I want to start this low. And I want to make sure that I get lots of my flowers on here. So I'm thinking like that would be nice. So I'm going to run my fingers around the edge here just so I know where I want to trim. And we're going to get that trimmed. And today we'll be decoupaging an inset, which is different than what we normally do. So we can talk about the difference. And you guys know that it's going to be a complicated project. I'm sorry. I have my stamp here, and I think I may want to put that back on. So I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to leave it there just in case I want to, I'll braise it. Just in case I want to add that back in somewhere. And if you are new here, I apologize. My name is Royce Hunt Bell. I am the founder, owner, and operator of Recycled Treasure. Recycled Treasures, we empower creation by providing you with quality craft supplies like this decoupage paper, by providing instruction. So we do a lot of teaching about how to use your products to maximize your creative opportunities, inspiration, encouragement, and you are welcome here whether you are creating for your heart, your home, or even for your business. I just had a thought right now, and I don't know. This is my problem. This is why it takes me so long to prep. Because I would like, wouldn't it be neat if these leaves kind of came out of the center? That would be really cool, right? So I am going to fussy cut those. That was not in my original plan, but now I'm going to do it. For those of you who've known me for a while, you probably knew that something was going to go down, right? And you guys notice I made me a little smaller so that I'm less likely to be in the way because of the whole bird incident. Hey, Tara, how are you? So I'm thinking it would be really cool if these leaves kind of came over onto the other part of our project. So I'm going to be using my fussy cutting scissors here, and I'm going to go through and fussy cut these. And I don't mind that my edges are going to be sharp and graphic for in this instance. So cutting them is just fine. This is going to add extra time to our project. Lord have mercy for Jesus. Y'all pray for me because I'm a mess. I was thinking this morning as I was prepping, because I have pieces that are all prepped and ready to go, but why would I do those? Why? Because I have a new idea, that's why. And I wanted to do this instead. So I spent the morning preparing this and making sure I had all the things. I've already mixed our we're going to use some milk paint today. This one's going to kind of be, we're going to use probably all the things that we've learned in the last month. So not learned, but you guys know I've been experimenting with products that I hadn't really used before. So we're going to use the milk paint on this one because I am obsessed, newly obsessed. We're going to be using the Pin Art 2 part Crackle because I'm obsessed. And I posted a video showing you guys kind of the steps to using the Crackle over your decoupage. And I got a lot of questions about whether or not the Crackle was solvent-based and if it would ruin your brushes. And so I'm going to tell you guys something before I answer that question. Any questions that I'm answering you guys about products are based, if it's a Roycycle product, then I am answering you as like the creator of the product, right? But if I'm answering questions about other products, I'm answering them based on my experience. So I have no affiliation to Pin Art. I'm not, I don't know. I adore Megan, but I have no direct affiliation with the product. So anything I tell you is based on my own experience, and it may or may not be contrary to what the experts are telling you. So just know that. But for me, in my experience, when I use part 1 and part 2, I'm able to wash out my brushes just fine. As a matter of fact, I actually washed my brushes today. Oh, can you guys believe it? Sorry, my water jar is clean and clear. Excuse me, because I washed all my brushes today. I don't have any problems. The only product that gunks up my brushes is the solvent-based varnish that is generally used over the fine line Crackle. But of course, if you guys have been hanging out with me for the last few weeks, you know that I've just been going over it with dark wax, which you can use wax to seal your projects. Now, if I'm doing furniture, I prefer to use a quality top coat first and then go over that with wax because I do love the look of wax. But if I'm doing home decor, that wax is going to be plenty to seal it, right? It's not like it's going to see a ton of action. And our grandparents and great grandparents use wax to protect surfaces for years. And for a lot of us, it's the same surfaces that we're finding in thrift stores and using today. So it works. Why did you guys let me decide to fussy cut this? Why? And if you are looking for Roycycle decoupage paper, you can find the paper and the retailers who carry the paper at roycycle.com. And I do have a blog too. You guys can check it out. I'm going to try to be more consistent about uploading articles to my blog. I think they're interesting articles, but they're mine. So I would hope I thought they were interesting. I know, Chris. I had no more brushes. I had to wash them. And I knew I wanted to use the fine line Crackle today. I think one of the biggest things, not the biggest, maybe one of the biggest, is to make sure you don't have any moisture that you're adding to part 1 and 2. And so I really wanted to make sure I had clean, dry brushes today. So I went and found some clean, dry brushes, and then I washed the other ones that were not clean and dry, so I wouldn't use the ones that were already dry. 1 year later. This is actually going to be cool because we're going to have to treat the paper different for the different areas it's going to lay down. And so we can discuss that. And maybe you guys will be inspired to try something similar on one of your projects. Maybe. I'm going to have to cut out one of my little bees right here. And let me see if I can get away with just this. Let's check in and see. Because I don't want to cut inside the circle, which I already have. You guys see what I did? I cut inside the circle. I didn't mean to do that. See? Dag nabbit. I did it twice. Okay. That's all the leaves that are coming over the edge. No mas. The rest of them, we're going to trim them off. So we'll just have a couple. I really want those too, though. So I'll do this. I kind of want to do it over again, but I know we don't have time. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. And even when it isn't, it's fine. You guys will get to see me fix this mess. So my intention was to just fussy cut these out here, but I went in really deep and I cut in there, which I didn't mean to do that. So I think we'll be okay though. We're just going to pretend like I did it on purpose. Okay. Make sure I don't do it again. Because we're going to go in with some fine line crackle and some wax. And so by the time we're done, I think it'll be fine. Just a few more pieces. I think it's going to be worth it. It'll add a lot more interest to this piece. And you guys are probably thinking like, red, Royce, that's kind of crazy. Is that going to look good? We don't know. I think it's going to look good, but we won't know for sure until it's done, right? So we shall see. I'm thinking it is. And it'll be something different. I have a little bee right here I'm trying to preserve for later. We'll save him for later. Now, I know some of you guys have told me that fussy cutting just makes you just want to curl up into a ball under the table, but we're not going to do a ton of it, just a little bit. And I think the payoff is going to be worth it. Look at that. So we're going to have a few of the leaves that are going to fall over onto the dark project. And because they're going to fall over into the dark project, let me make sure that this line is super clear. We're going to need to paint this part white right here. So make sure I have that right before I start painting. Okay. So first thing I want to do is I am going to paint this white. And then that way we can set it aside and let it dry while we work on the other parts. And I don't think that let me find a small brush. I'll do this one. Oh no, I'm gonna need that one for my crackle. For my crackle-lacking. I need that one for my crackle. I thought I did another small brush. Okay. So I'm just gonna paint this white right here. This is just some acrylic white that I have. I lost my top to it yesterday during my membership call. Yesterday inside the membership, we played with stencils and your gel plate. And we visited a lot too, which is usually, I think, what the ladies like the most. Can you guys see what I'm doing? So I'm literally just painting the leaves that are going to fall outside of the circle white because I know that my paper is going to get transparent when I decoupage it. And we're going to be using a really dark color around the edge. And I don't want that dark color to come through my leaves. So I'm going to paint them white and make them opaque so that they can stand on their own against that dark black. Hey, Paige. And we'll set this aside and let it dry while we get to the milk painting. Now, for those of you who may be just joining us for my quick crafts, which are not quick, I need to come up. I should have renamed the series halfway through because I think we've done one quick craft. Maybe two could be considered craft. But I am trying to do crafts from start to finish, although we still have a lot we need to finish. Um, I have been coming live every day. Today's our last one, you guys. I've been coming live every day in the month of January to kickstart our creativity for 2026. And today is our last day. So I'll basically be streaming most of my day because I'm with you guys now. And then I'll be back in a few hours after we're done with David for our chatting and crafting in the evening. Okay. I'm trying to use like just a little bit of paint. I don't want to use a ton of paint because I want this to dry on its own without me having to do anything. So all I've done is the portions that are going to be hanging off, I painted that part white. And so I'm going to set that aside and let it chill while we do some more fun stuff. So on the outside, I'm going to be painting some red chalk paint underneath here. And then we're going to do some of the noir milk paint over that. And so this is just a chalk style paint that I'm using as my base coat. Hello, Kathy from Minnesota. And I don't know what state this paint is in. This is really old. So let's see. Hopefully it didn't all dry up. And this paint has a lot of blue in it, this specific red. So it's not like an orangey red. Um, so it's a really good red for this. It's not a bright red. Um, it's kind of like an old timey red, almost like a barn red. So I think it's going to be perfect for this finish. And of course, we'll be darkening this up um, when we go over it with the noir milk paint and the dark waxes as well. And this is just going to be our base coat that's going to be peeking through the milk paint. And for today, I really don't want like I know that I do not have, even though I'm coming to terms with the fact that I do not have complete control over what the milk paint does because it is unpredictable. Um, but I do think there are some things that we can do to try and control the outcome. One of which is if I just use this chalk style paint underneath it, and then I go right over it with a thin coat of the milk paint, I'm less likely to get like the chipping off. But if I go over with like a really thick coat of the milk paint, I'm more likely to have it be super chippy. And for today, I don't necessarily want it to be really chippy. I'm wanting to use the milk paint today for its self-leveling properties and for that nice thin vintage looking finish that you get from the milk paint. That's what I'm wanting today. So I have followed the instructions and I've mixed it 50-50. I didn't mix it a little thicker like I have been doing in the past. And we will be doing some wet distressing as well. I'm getting a little bit of red on my white, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to go around the edge of this and add some grunginess anyways. So I think I'm fine. I didn't take my time and stir this chalk style paint, so I'm sure that I don't have a lot of pigment on my brush. So, and it's red anyways. You guys know how red is. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to do 2 coats of this red in order to get the coverage that I want. Red pigments are larger, so they actually have more space in between them. And it's why it's really hard to get a really good coverage with red. We don't need perfect coverage, but I do want it to be solid enough that if it peeks through, that all you see is red and you don't see the wood tone underneath. So I'm going to dry this coat as soon as I get a good coat down, and then we'll go over and put a second coat down. Okay. And I think I'm going to stir my paint better too. I was trying to be lazy. It's no bueno. And this Lazy Susan will more than likely make it on one of the tables at the Royce Cycles retreat. Oh, I was going to update the graphic today, and I forgot to upload it into the program. Okay, so that's my first coat. Let's dry this and see if I can find something to stir my paint. And I'm just drying this enough so it doesn't move. Like when I start, I don't want this to wipe up when I am doing my wet distressing. I really want it to stop here. So actually, I'm going to dry this and then I'm going to apply a little bit more heat so that it actually sets up and it doesn't move anymore. Because I don't want this to wipe away when I am doing my wet distressing over the black. Hello, Joe. How are you? From Cincinnati. WKRP in Cincinnati. That's what I thought about. I'm drinking my breakfast of champions this morning. Coffee with protein and coconut oil. I'll eat eventually. No, actually I did eat breakfast today. But I made my breakfast coffee. This is what I usually eat for breakfast, y'all. I'm a mess. So if you are just popping on, you guys, we are upcycling Lazy Susan that I scored at the thrift store with a little, we're going to be using some chalk style paint, some milk paint, some recycled decoupage paper, and some waxes. Oh, and 2-part crackle. We're going to be using that too from Pintart. And I'm using it off label. So although one of my people in my membership said she's tried to do crackle over and over again and she wasn't successful. And when she did it my way, she got all the wonderful crackles. So you guys can take that with a grain of salt. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I didn't make that up, I promise. I do have a membership. You guys, we meet once a week inside of my membership, and we take deep dives into different processes and or products. We did several weeks on making faux mirrors, and we did all the things. We did a couple weeks on air dry clay because we really do not use air dry clay to its fullest ability. Um, and I bought several different brands, and we tried them out, and we looked at them. And so, if you're looking to grow creatively, the membership really is a good place to do that. You guys have access to the weekly kind of classes that I do every week when we meet live, but also to an entire library of courses from the past. Where is our classes? I don't know, what do you call them? Oh, and so a lot of us that you guys see creating, we are creating and teaching from experience, right? And experience takes time and often costs money because you're buying products. But for the membership, you get to kind of have your experience vicariously, right, through me, because you get to watch me mess up. No, you get to watch me buy products, try them out, see if we like them. Some of them is not a matter of liking versus not liking. It's just that, I would use maybe a different brand for different circumstances based on the properties of the product produced by that brand, things like that. And we have a gorgeous community of really talented, really generous ladies in the community. We generally have a guest every month. My guest this month never answered me. So we don't have a guest this month. So it's not like a promise, like every single month, but most months we have a guest. I like to invite people who are doing things that I don't know anything about. So they're bringing in added information and experience, right? Um, that I don't teach. So you guys have access to the things that I know, but also to my friends who are super creative. So I'm just going to put a second coat. I went in and I did stir the paint up, so I'm getting much better coverage this round. And we'll dry this, and then we'll go over this with our black paint. And I keep debating if I'm going to decoupage first or paint first, but I feel like painting with my decoupage paper is just dangerous. That's just asking for mayhem. So I'm going to go ahead and paint first, and then we'll decoupage. And I don't have to like getting into the areas and really covering. I did that on the first round primarily, so I'm not really worried about that on the second because I know it's covered and it doesn't have to be perfect because this is just an underpainting, right? It's not like the final coat, but I do want it to be smooth. So I'm just going over with my dry brush and picking up any areas where I may have laid down a little bit too much paint. Okay, this is good. And I'm going to dry this. You guys like watching paint dry? I could have done all this, but then it would have been boring. You guys wouldn't have been able to see what I'm doing. I always battle with like how much prep I want to do because I don't want to do too much and then you guys feel like you've lost out. Hey Trisha, how are you? Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I need to take that off. If you guys have been taking advantage, I do have all of my courses on sale for 25% off. I was supposed to go in and turn the coupon off on Friday, but I haven't. So if you would like to take advantage, you can take any of the classes at roycecycleacademy.com and you get 25% off. Just use the coupon code birthday. So if you've been wanting to learn more about decoupage, which Trisha's saying that she signed up for the decoupage course. Hey, Kay. Decoupage with Confidence course that's available on there. There's also a course on, texture masterclass, learning how to make tons of different textures using products that you probably already have. There is a fabric painting masterclass on there. I do this leather look. I don't have anything in here. I was going to show something. I don't even think I have a picture. Um, Technique, and the class was going to be the leather look class, but because of the way I am, it ended up being a master class on painting fabric in general. And I mean like painting upholstery that is not just beautiful, but that's useful. I have a chair that I painted like, I don't know, 7 years ago, maybe. I don't know exactly, but at least 7 years ago. And it's still in my living room now, and we use it all the time. So it's not just paint something to look pretty, but really paint fabric that can be beautiful and that can actually be utilized. So it's functional. Let's see what else is on there. Oh, yeah, my paper mache class is on there. I don't know if you guys have seen my paper mache deer heads. That's how I started my business, was making paper mache deer heads. Yeah, Trisha. So I've been going live every day just for the month of January. There is no way I can keep at this pace indefinitely. There are some ladies who go live every day. I don't know how they do it. There is no way. Although I was talking to David this morning, you guys ever have something in your life that's like hard to do, but then after you do it for a while, it's not as hard anymore, and then it kind of moves the needle on what hard is, and that's kind of what's happening after going live every day for 30 days. Um, it's a lot, but I'm like, I could probably go live an extra day a week and it wouldn't feel like a lot, especially compared to going live every single day. So David and I go live on Mondays, absolutely. But I'm thinking about adding a Monday live. And I was thinking about making a mixed media Monday. So, like on Sunday nights, we could really focus on upcycling and repurposing. And then on my mixed media Mondays, we could really spend more time exploring mixed media together. What do you guys think? Oh, Chris says you found that rectangular one. Oh, that's cool, Chris. Yeah. Kay said Mixed Media Monday will be awesome. I think it will be fun. And we could kind of explore some mixed media processes and how we can, because y'all know we all have stuff. I know you guys have stuff in your stash that you haven't used. So if you meet me for Mixed Media Monday, maybe you can start pulling out your stuff and using it. Because I'm thinking today is our last live, but we do have a project that we didn't finish, and that's the canvas bag. And I feel like we need to finish that, right? And I didn't want to finish it today because I wanted to use a new paper. The struggle is real. Okay, I think we're dry enough. We're dry to the touch. Kay's asking for some mixed media fashion accessories. So you guys, I want to talk. It's so funny that you asked me that, Kay, because I was thinking this morning, which is always dangerous, by the way. Hey, Jean, um, that when I show up on my lives, they're really project focused, right? So we're like focusing on doing a project. Inside of the membership, it's really process focused, meaning we really look at processes, the why, the how, the what, the when, like all the things around like specific processes. And the reason why I like to teach like that is because whatever I teach, you can generally apply to any surface, right? So if I teach something, I don't know, like the canvas bag, for instance, right? We're working on a canvas bag, but like it's a bag, but you could take the exact same steps that I used to make that bag and you could apply it to um, other things that you would use similarly as you would use a bag. You know what I'm saying? Or even though I'm decoupaging on wood today, doesn't mean that you cannot absolutely decoupage on metal, on glass, on plastic. So I say all that to say we could look at some things. I will say that I'm going to be cognizant to make sure that I honor my members, and that what we do on Mondays will not be the same kind of like depth that we're doing inside of the membership. So to your point, Kay, we spent probably 2 months painting fabric inside of the membership, and we looked at all the different products and not all of them, but a ton of different. I bought like different products. We experiment with different processes. And we were using sample pieces of cloth, of course, but the things that we learned in that session, you could absolutely apply to a pair of jeans, to a jacket, you know what I'm saying, to anything. So yes and no. We'll do a mixed media Monday, but it's not going to be the kind of depth that I would deliver for my members. Just being completely like transparent about that. We're going to go in with our black milk paint. And I did I did mix this ahead of time for the sake of time, because we're already going to be here for a while together today. Trisha, yeah, come join us in the membership. And we meet every week, and we meet real time. So it's not like this where you guys are watching a screen and you're leaving comments. It's like a Zoom call, but it's inside of my membership. So it's a different program, but it's the same thing. So we're meeting in real time. So it's not like a live on Facebook or on YouTube. And I teach for like the first 40 minutes. And then after that, you know, the ladies, it's a community. So we visit after that. But you do learn something. Right now, we're working with the gel plate. And then after that, I don't know what we're going to do. I should probably start thinking about it, because I think we only have a few more weeks with the gel plate. But if you want more information on the membership, let me know. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you guys are appreciating my daily quick. They're not very quick though, but they're daily. That part is right. So I'm going to lay down really thin coats of this paint, because I honestly don't want, I mean, if I get some crackle, it's fine. But in my other ones that you guys have seen me do, I was really trying to encourage the crackle. So I was using the paint thicker, and I mixed the paint thicker, and I was also laying it down thicker. But that's not what I'm wanting from this time. So I'm going to be putting down thinner coats of the milk paint. And I'm going right over the top of the chalk style paint without sealing it first. If I wanted my milk paint to chip, which still is no guarantee, but I can increase the odds by sealing my chalk style paint first. And then I would be more likely to get a lot of chippiness from my milk paint. And I'm laying down really thin coats of paint. And this noir, this is Amy Howard's milk paint. Oh my gosh. Did you guys hear that? Somebody drove by with their stereo. They almost knocked something off my table. And if you're in the membership, you also have other bonuses. Like if I teach a class, like the class you signed up for, when it was live, my memberships had access to that class for free. So any future classes, like you don't get the whole Royce Cycle catalog for free, but any future classes that I teach after you join, you have access to those for free. And you have discounts too. So like my Royce Cycle besties got, I think like almost $100 discount on the retreat. That's available to them even after the early bird. They still have the same pricing for the Royce Cycle Besties retreat. And then, of course, they have free access to any live trainings that I do. And then we meet weekly. And you have a dashboard where you can access a community. We have a Facebook group, but I've really been trying to use the community on my dashboard more. I don't know. I think it's kind of groovy. I love it. My membership is fabulous. And it's nice to get to really know, um, like the ladies who've been with me, they're my friends. They've been with me for like a lot of them for 2 years now. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. I should have something ready to show. Yeah, if you go to roycycleacademy.com, it is there. Yes, you're absolutely right, Karen. Karen's in the membership. And we generally meet like not generally. We have a schedule. So we meet Wednesday, 2 Wednesday evenings, a Tuesday morning and a Saturday morning. I try to have a varying schedule so that, we're not in a situation where somebody has to mix every live. I really want to dry this. I'm going to put another layer of this almost black down, and then we're going to wet distress. Um, and I'm thinking, let me think. I think we're going to decoupage after we wet distress. Then we'll do the two-part crackle, and then we'll wax everything at the same time. I think that's a good idea. Ooh, the black wax and the crackle. We haven't done that yet, you guys. That's going to be nice. We've been using the dark wax, the brown wax, but not the black wax. So you guys see how this is kind of ashy looking? When we seal it, that color is going to be closer to this color here on the spoon, and not the color that you're currently seeing on here. So I'm going to go over this again with a second coat, and we're going to get some really good coverage. I really love, and I am like totally obsessed with this milk paint now. And we have one of the ladies in our membership who loves milk paint. I think she agreed to do a special session for us. I need to hit her up for that. Um, some of our special guests are actually members of the community. The cool thing is everybody's like, you guys know how we are. We're like serial creatives, right? So a lot of the ladies are really, really knowledgeable in specific areas, and we're all kind of different. So it's nice to have like really in-depth knowledge on different subject matter just within the membership, not me. I'm sorry. I'm focused, you guys. I'm all quiet. I'm focusing. I can probably move this up a little bit so you guys can better see what I'm doing. And if you're on Facebook and you're watching a vertical video and you'd rather watch horizontally, if you punch out of that video and you go over to the live tab, you'll see that there is also a horizontal stream as well. So you don't have to watch vertically if you don't want to. I keep meaning to say that every day and I forget. I hope that makes sense. Because my program streams both a vertical and a horizontal stream at the same time. Amazingly enough, I get more views on the horizontal, which is interesting. Okay, so I am going to dry this and then I'm going to make a decision about whether or not I want to do a third coat. And I kind of want to go through and see if I can get a few areas to like pick. I did it on accident. I should have done it on the first layer. I don't think I'm going to get it to do it now. I kept touching it. Um, and now I like it. You guys ever do that? You do something on accident and then it becomes part of your process because you like it. So what happens is when I touch it, the paint picks up right there and it reveals a little bit of the red underneath, but it's kind of a rough texture. It's a different texture than I'm going to get from the wet distress. So I like adding variety to my projects. I think it's one of the things that you can do to make them more interesting. So everything isn't the same. Hello, Eclectic Emporium. How are you guys doing this morning? Although it's probably afternoon for you too, huh? You know what, Kay? So I have sitting right over there a jewelry chest. It almost made it to today's quick craft. Almost. I don't know why I changed my mind. Hey, George. Hey, Karen. How are you? You can do whatever you like. So the question is, do we get to see your expertise and practice on your own? So what we do is I'll set up an event, and in the event, you guys will know what we're going to do, and there'll be a supply list that'll be listed in there. So sometimes, like last night, I had, I want to say 2 or 3 of the ladies that were working with me while I was working. And then some of the ladies just watch. Some of the ladies just come hang out. They like to hang out. So it's literally whatever you want, to Karen's point. If you want to show up with the supplies from the supply list and work with me, you absolutely can do that. If you just want to come and watch, you can do that too. Um, One of the ladies who comes, she does a show almost every weekend. I don't know how she does it. Like seriously, 9 months out of the year, she and her husband are at a show like 90% of the time. And so for her, it's an opportunity to come and to be creative without having to carve out the time to actually create. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what your creative needs are. Some of the ladies come for the community. They just like being with a group of ladies who understand what it's like to have minds like ours. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know I'm not crazy alone. Ooh, a bunny hat to fit on a bowling pin. I want to see that. Are you guys going to be live later? I'm live all day apparently today. Not all day. It feels like it because I'll get done with this live, and then I'll be preparing for tonight's live, and then I'll be live tonight. So it's just a day of making, which is fine. I have to tell you guys that I have been so inspired just by the act of showing up and creating every day, um, which is what my art instructors tell me to do. It's just to paint more paintings, paint more ugly paintings. It's hard for us to do, right? We want to be successful. I'm looking at that jewelry box. The reason why I didn't bring it is because I wanted to do something grungy today. And I think with that jewelry box, I want to paint it like a piece of furniture. Like do a beautiful blend with a teal color and a white and then put some transfers on it. It does not want to be grungy. I would like to paint it grungy, but that's not what it wants. So I put her away for now. Oh, probably on Wednesday. Sorry you're watching paint dry, you guys, but let me get this dry enough that I know it won't transfer any paint to my paper. And then we can go ahead and decoupage the middle. I'm trying to think through my steps. You guys, last night, this is what happens when I don't think through my steps. I mean, my stencils are not ruined, but you know, when so we meet live, right? And I teach, and then I download it and edit it and upload it for rewatches. And so for last night's rewatch, there's going to be a section on what not to do, a whole section, because I didn't think about my steps clearly and I did them kind of sideways, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So I'm trying to think through my steps to make sure that I'm going to be making the best choice. This is going to be so nice. I think I want to distress this right quick, just for my own like selfish purposes, because I'm itching to see it. Now, whenever I do wet distress, I like to really have my towel or my paper towel. I'd rather do a towel, but I don't have one here. So I'm going to use a paper towel. I like using my microfiber cloths because they don't have any texture. Like the paper towels have texture, and I don't want to transfer that texture onto my project. But I would rather use more water and less pressure in order to get something that's going to look more organic, as opposed to like pressing down really hard to try to get my paint to lift up. So I'm like literally, I'm being super soft when I'm rubbing this across the surface, so that I can just pick up some of that milk paint and reveal some of that red below. And I want it to feel random. Random is so hard. Our brains just want to make, especially mine, my brain likes patterns. It just wants it to be like in a pattern, something predictable, I think. So I have to really be thoughtful. See that it's not coming up anymore. So rather than rub harder, I'm just going to add some more water to my paper towel. See how easy it is to just rub that paint right off the top? And it's easy because the paint is still open because we haven't sealed it yet. So if you're going to be using wet distress, you want to make sure and do it before you seal your paint. Ooh, that was a big one. That's going to be random. And so I've gone around and exposed that red in different areas. And whenever I'm distressing, I think about how the project might be used and where there might be points that would have more like touch points than others, right? So along the edges, where it might be touched more often. When I taught my fabric painting masterclass, I talk a lot about how we're making things, but what we're really doing is telling a visual story, especially when we're like adding layers and distress. Um, it's kind of like a graphic novel. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys know my husband, you guys know. If you guys know us, you know that David loves comics or graphic novels, I guess. They're not comics. Okay. And I don't know if you guys can tell. Let me see if I can show you those areas, and you won't be able to see it really well. Let me see if my camera will. So you guys can see it's still kind of ashy, so it's hard to see. We probably won't be able to see it really well until we wax it, but I've just gone in and distressed back to that red in a few places so that it's showing through the paint. And I think I want it to be a little bit more than it is. Okay. Okay. So now to the fun part, the découpage. And this is actually going to be probably the simplest part of the project. I am going to use a matte varnish to decoupage today. Whenever I'm working on a surface that I want to be really durable, I'll use a quality water-based varnish to do both as my adhesive and as the sealer for my project. I'm looking for my little silicone cup. Where is it? Did I take it off the table? Oh, there it is. I love these silicone cups. This varnish has been in this cup for, I don't know, at least a couple weeks at this point. So it's starting to get a little bit thicker, but it does keep for a lot longer than it does in any other containers that I've found. So should I touch that paint up? I think I'm going to leave it because this is going to be a grungy project anyways. Oh, speaking of grunge, before we decoupage, let me go in and add some grunge. Where is my pouncer? I'm going to be using some ink. I think that my pouncer has enough ink on it that I shouldn't have to add any more. I know that it's here because I saw it earlier. Y'all should see all the stuff I have on my table. It's just craziness. And then I have a brush that I use to kind of feather my ink out. Although I don't know how much feathering I'm going to be able to do. So I used a white primer, which is really, this isn't going to work. Hold on, you guys. Let me rethink my process real quick. We'll just do the grunge over the paper today because this is going to suck up that ink right away, and I'm not going to get a chance to really do it the way I want. And so we'll do something different, which is fun. Anyways. Hey, Jerry. So today we're upcycling a thrift store, Lazy Susan. So we're going to go ahead and decoupage first, and then we will. And I'm going to do something that I hardly ever do, only because of time. Usually, I like to cut a little over, and then I take a blade and I trim my paper. The only thing about that is you really do want to make sure that your paper is absolutely completely dry before you trim it. If you try to trim it when your paper is wet, it doesn't cut. It actually tears, and you don't get a really nice clean trim. So because I want us to be able to do this together from start to finish, I'm going to go ahead and trim it, or try to trim it close to perfect. so that we can finish everything right together. And I don't have to try to wait and come back and trim it later. And if for some reason I cut it too short, I'm just going to cheat and put some black milk paint over the edge. Just so y'all know, I already have an exit plan just in case. So I had used my fingernail earlier to go around the edge so I know exactly where to trim. So that's where I'm cutting now. But if you're doing this, the best thing to do is to allow yourself like an eighth of an inch, just in case you marked something wrong, right? You don't. It's better to be a little long than to be short when you're decoupaging. And then you can use your blade to go in and trim off any extra that may be there. So when I lay it down, I'm going to have to be really careful too. And I still have this area right here. So let's trim that. If you are just coming on, we are updating a Lazy Susan, a thrift store Lazy Susan. I'm using the new Royce Botanical Blocks decoupage paper. This is just like a quarter of it. We decided to fussy cut the leaves on this and have it go over the black. So we've already painted the back of that paper white. We have a layer of red chalk style paint and a layer of black milk paint on our Lazy Susan. And now we're going to go in and decoupage the paper. So this is where I want my paper. So whenever I'm doing something and I want to be exact, that anchor row is going to be super important, because once I establish that anchor row, I don't have to worry about my paper shifting in a way that I don't want it to shift. So I'm going to go ahead and mist my paper, and hopefully my milk paint doesn't activate because of the water. We'll see what happens with that. I kept going back and forth over I wanted to use wax or not. I just didn't want to accidentally get wax under the paper and have it impact the adhesion of my paper. So that's why I'm opting to decoupage before we wax. And my paper is stretching a little bit, so, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to use black paint if I need to go over any edge. So I am going to start with an anchor row here. And whenever you're ending an anchor row, make sure you end in a straight line so that it's easy for you to fold your paper back when you move on to the next section. I'm going to look from the side and make sure that I have really good coverage and I don't have any spots that don't have product, because if I do, it's not going to stick there. And we don't want that. My sealer is like thicker because it's been sitting in this jar. And so it's a little tackier than usual. So I'm trying to be careful. Do I need to reposition that? I think I might need to. Dag nabbit. It's shifted over a little bit too far to the right. This is one of the benefits of working with the 18-pound tissue, is that it is hardier. So it does give you a little bit more flexibility when you're using it. I'm going to add some more sealer to this, maybe. because that is really thick. Let me get this adhered down though before I mess up. That's better. It was really one-sided. I was going to have a lot of paper on one side and like barely touching the air on the edge on the other side. So I'm just adding some more sealer in here because this is really thick. It's a little too thick. I like my sealer looser. I feel like it gives me more flexibility when I'm decoupaging than when it's really thick and tacky. And I'm trying not to get sealer on my milk paint either, because the sealer gives the milk paint a different feel than the wax. And I really want to have the wax do its thing for my milk paint. So I don't want to get sealer on the milk paint. It's kind of why I was going back and forth about which one do I want to do first, because I don't know. Okay, so let's go in with some more. Now that I have my anchor row down, I can go ahead and do the rest of my piece. I'm going to mist it, and we'll let all those fibers kind of hang out, relax, and stretch out. And then I'll get the rest of this covered. Jerry is asking if you can use a water pen. Absolutely, Jerry, you can use a water pen. A lot of my people do, like if they want to cut their paper and have an organic edge, they use a water pen. I'm just not patient enough. I just grab a paintbrush and dip it in the water if I'm doing the water cutting method. But yes, you can use a water pen if you're wanting an organic but accurate like cutting out of your paper. That's the only time I do that, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna make sure I have product everywhere that I want my paper to stick, and also making sure that I don't have any spots that get missed. A lot of times if you have bubbles in your decoupage, it's because you didn't put product down in a spot, and so the paper can't adhere because there's nothing there. And it might be in the middle of your project, or it could just be like one little spot, but it's enough um, to impact how your paper adheres. And then I don't want to have puddles of product either, though. So it's a bit of a dance. But if you practice, you'll get the hang of it. And I like to decoupage from one side to the next. And my paper stretched a lot too. So I'm going to have to trim this after the fact. Now for my leaves, I'm going to have to put product on the back of my leaves, right? Not on the surface, because again, I don't want to get any of my clear coat anywhere. I brought out like a couple of those brushes. I guess I can use this one. So I'm going to have to put product on the back of this paper here. rather than putting it on, rather than trying to guess where it needs to go on this black part. I'm going to go ahead and just put it on the paper. And if you're coming in late, we fussy cut some of our leaves of our design out so they could go off of the edge of the middle part of our Lazy Susan, just like an extra little fun design element. And so we painted that part white because it's going to be going over the black. And now I'm putting decoupage medium on the paper and we'll adhere it onto the black. I did get a little carried away with my fussy cutting earlier. So there's an area on the white where the leaves are fussy cut. But I think it's going to be okay. I know I'm making somebody really nervous, but it's going to be okay. I want to make sure that it's adhered to the middle part, right? And then I'll go out. And I'm taking my time. I think that just looks really cool, right? It was worth the effort. Sometimes I'll do something really special and I get to the point where it's time to execute it. And it's like, meh, meh, meh. Like, was it really worth the effort? I think that this is worth the effort. It's going to add a really cool element to our design. Now, if you weren't here earlier, you didn't see me get sidetracked and I kind of over trimmed in there a little bit. My intention was not to fussy cut that part, but it's done now. And we're going to be doing some two-step crackle on this paper anyways. So I think we're going to be fine. Now, you guys see how much my paper stretched? Like I have paper all around. So I am going to trim it begrudgingly. So I'm not going to go over this yet. I'm going to wait and see if I can get this dry so that I can get the trimming done, and then we'll go over the top of the paper and seal it. Normally, I would just go right over this and seal it right away, but I know that I got to trim those areas and I want them to be dry. The drier they are, the cleaner my trim is going to be. So I'm going to go in and try to dry those enough so that we can get a decent trim. Hey, Ruth, how are you this morning? Although I see you've had a rough morning already, I'm hoping it's getting better. I guess it's good I can show you guys how to trim the paper because there are some things that you want to think about when you're trimming. One of the things is that when your paper dries, you're more than likely, for some reason, as the paper contracts, it'll pull up around the edges. And when you're trimming, you really want to trim all the way to the edge. So there are some extra steps that I take to make sure that I'm trimming all the way to the edge and that I don't just go in with my knife willy-nilly. And we don't have a ton of moisture around the edge because I was being kind of careful. So hopefully I'm really focusing on getting this part dry specifically. And I really only have a couple of areas where I'm going to have to trim. Okay. We're gonna try it. You want your blade to be sharp. So you don't want to work with a dull blade because it's just gonna rip your paper instead of cutting it. I could try to hold my knife down like this and hope that I get it straight. But really, I like to use whatever edge is there to guide my blade. And I'm more likely to get like a straight cut if I do that and a consistent trim all the way around. This blade is not the sharpest. So y'all pray for me. And actually, it's not a lot of moisture. So maybe I'll get a nice trim. And then always cut away from you. Don't do what I just did where I had my hand in front of the blade. Any flesh, yours or anybody else's, on this side of your blade. Because if it slips off, I don't want to cut somebody or cut myself. Let's get in the center for this. So you guys will notice how my blade is sideways because I'm using the side of this edge to guide my blade. There's a little bit more moisture here, so I'm moving a little slower and trying to be a little bit more careful. And so these are steps that you would take whenever you're decoupaging like an inset. So if you're doing a buffet, and you have an inset that you're decoupaging, sometimes when you're doing a larger piece of furniture, you might think, oh, my paper is only 21 by 30. It's not going to be big enough. But if you look at your furniture in sections, you can still use your decoupage paper in a way that will bring interest to it that doesn't require you to decoupage like every inch of your surface. So like if it's a buffet, you can just do the inserts on the doors, right? And that's just not, it's not a huge amount of space, but it is a place where you can bring interest, even if your paper isn't big enough for the whole thing. If you have a dresser and you're wanting to put it on the drawers, if you just do the drawer fronts and leave out the runs between the dresser, a lot of time that's a way that you can kind of cheat and use the paper that you have. Whoops. I think that is a way for you to cheat and use the paper that you have without having to have, more paper, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. Somebody is dealing with that right now, so it probably makes sense to you. Okay. So I think I was able to do that pretty successfully. We're going to go around now. Um, did I put my brush in the water? I did. Now I'm just going to go around and carefully, because I still don't want to get sealer on my milk paint, put product underneath the paper so that it can get tacked down. Any area that isn't adhered, that's what we're doing now. Okay, I think we're good. So now I'm going to go over and cover this whole middle section with the clear coats. And then we can move forward to the crackle. Bring on the crackle. No, I'm just kidding. Me and my dad jokes. Actually, that would be a fun meme. Megan, if you're watching, that would be a fun meme. With like an octopus over two bottles of the crackle. Bring on the crackle. No? No? Is that too on the nose? Okay. Now the paper is all sealed. And you guys will note, if you're new here, you'll probably notice I'm using my clear coat to both adhere and to seal my decoupage paper. And I am using a water-based varnish today because it's a lazy Susan, right? So this piece is going to be used, and I want to make sure that my final finish is going to be durable. And what you use to decoupage really depends on like what you're working on, honestly. Okay. I really like that edge, that off edge part right there. Not too hot about the white right there, but I think when we do the crack-a-lacking and the glaze and the wax, it'll take care of that. Or maybe I should warm that up now. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll warm it up a little bit so it's not so bright white. I have some ochre yellow paint here. So I'm going to go in there, see if that'll help. I probably should have done it before I put the clear coat because then my primer would have just really sucked that up right away and it would have warmed it up a lot faster. That might help a little bit. It's not as stark. Okay. I'm going to dry this and then we're going to do the fine line crackle. Yes, it's crack-a-lackin' time, Chris. Davis Road Designs, good morning. And if you're on the vertical one and you want to come over to the horizontal one so you can see better, just pop out of the live you're on and you'll find another stream where it's horizontal. So Jerry is asking a really good question. I'm going to pop her question up here. Jerry is asking if this paper is paintable, and your answer is absolutely, Jerry. So you guys will notice that this flower, which I am in love with, has the same shading, right, that we see on the paintable designs that are just black and white. And you can absolutely still paint these if you want to. And it'll be beautiful because you have the warm background. Um, Underpainting is something that you guys may, if you watch like classical artists, you'll see them, they'll do like a warm underpainting before they paint because it does add so much. And so painting these would be absolutely gorgeous. They generally use like a red oxide or a Van Dyke brown as their underpainting, and then they go right over the top with their colors. And you know what? The breast of our flower, of our bird right here, is a little light, and then we have a little light area right there. So maybe I think it's going to end up being fine. Either it's going to end up being fine, or I'm just trying to make myself feel better. Either way, I think we're good. So I'm going to dry this, and I'm trying to see if I want to go around the edges with any black paint, but I think I'm good. I think we're going to be fine. So I do want to make sure that this part is really, really dry before I go in with the crackle. So I'm going to spend a few more minutes just making sure. You guys will notice that I'm moving this. This is an embossing gun from Ranger, and it gets really, really hot. So if I just hold it in one place on my paper, it'll bubble up. I don't want that to happen. So I just keep it moving so that I don't get that. This is going to be so nice. And I keep saying that I'm going to list these things in my Whatnot sale. We will be on Whatnot this Friday, you guys, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But a lot of these things are not going to make it to Whatnot because they're going to make it to my living room is what they're going to do. And this one might just make it to my kitchen island. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to start by using part one of my fine line crackle. And I'm showing the fine line crackle just because y'all are getting so frustrated with me. And I thought about it. Fine line crackle is not one of those products like, I think it's fine if I talk about it, like by brand. So I'm going to put part one on here. Now I have a theory. Oh, no, not yet, because I got to do something else first. I have a theory about the fine line crackle. I have a couple of theories. My first theory is that it works better over a shinier surface or over a glossier surface. So I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to add, because my products are all matte. You guys know I love matte. So I'm going to start by adding some decoupage medium that is a gloss. And I'm only using the decoupage medium because I don't have anything else that's glossy. All my stuff is matte around here. So I'm going to go over and add this so that I can add a glossy finish over the top of my paper. And I really do think that this makes a difference. Okay, so let's dry that. I think I got that all over. Trying to make sure I'm keeping count on my brushes so I can make sure I have a clean, dry brush for the fine line crackle. So we're going to dry this. Are you guys starting to see my vision yet? No? I had some things come up in my memory today from 10 years ago, you guys. 10 years ago, I was doing mostly furniture, though. Ironically, I hated doing smalls 10 years ago. I think it's funny that I do so many crafts now. I would have much rather just piece furniture than to do a small piece. Make sure that's dry. That dried pretty quickly. I'm way too excited about this project. Okay, so now I'm going to go over with my first layer of crackle, and we're going to test my theory. I have a theory, and my theory is that if I do really small short strokes, that I'll get like really small crazing, like you would see like on an oil painting, like little cells. And if I use a big brush, I'll get like larger cracks. That's my theory. So we're going to test it out today. So I am going to try to get crazing in some areas, and then I'm going to go over with my large brush in other areas and we're going to see what happens. And we're going to test my theory and see if it's correct. Jerry's asking if I ever resined over my paper. Absolutely, Jerry. And I contemplated using resin today, ironically. Um, I did have my UV resin out, but I decided that I wanted to do the crackle. So that's what I'm going to do over this today. You can resin over your decoupage paper. You just want to make sure that you seal it first. And we've actually done, inside the membership, we did some coasters. And I resined over the top of the coasters after we did them. So if you are going to be doing a project that's going to be seeing like a ton of activity and you're really concerned about the durability, you can absolutely use resin over your paper. So I am making little short strokes because I want um, this area to be have little cells. And I also like to put it thicker in some areas and thinner. Because if you look at like old stuff, seldom is it uniform, right? You're going to get a little bit of this and a little bit of that because time worn items, just that's just how they are. And then I'm going to go in this area right here and we're going to use bigger strokes and a bigger brush. And we're going to see if my theory is right. I'm just looking to make sure I have a really nice coverage of the whole area before I move on. I'm not going to wash these brushes because I'm actually going to wipe them off and use them for part two. First, we have to dry this part. And I thought I had a little plastic bag right here for my brushes. I'll use this one. Just so they don't dry out while we're drying. And I'm going to dry this. And you guys will note, I want to talk about this. Sometimes if you're using the fine line crackle and you don't get crackles, it may be because you didn't put enough product down. You have to put enough down to crack, right? If you put it on too thin, there's nothing to crack. Am I going to crackle the overhanging leaves? I don't think so. I think that I'm already going to be battling the milk paint with adhesion, and I might be pushing my luck if I extend the crackle out there. So I think we're going to leave the crackle inside the circle. And I'm going to dry this really well. It's going to take us a few minutes. I'm going to show you guys a video while we're waiting for this to dry, okay? It's like 48 seconds. And I'll be right back with more information, okay?
You've been thinking about it, watching the photos, the joy, the creating. Something inside you whispers, I want this. But maybe part of you wonders, is it really worth it? Let me show you what you're saying yes to. 3 full days of creating with other women who get it. All your supplies included. Quality meals from local spots and a swag bag valued over $100. Exclusive decoupage paper and stencil you can't get anywhere else. Time with me and a small group where you won't get lost in the crowd. A visit to the Royce warehouse, including retired designs, and right outside the venue, Downtown Safford's Spring Festival. Music, booths, entertainment for anyone traveling with you. One woman told me this retreat was life changing. You're not just signing up to meet me, you're stepping into a space that was built to pour back into you. If your heart's been whispering yes, this is your time. We'd love to see you there.
And if you guys are interested in coming to the Royce Cycle Besties Retreat, we do have spots still available. If you're on Facebook, you can put hashtag retreat and you'll get a message from Facebook. If you're on YouTube, if you'll drop in a note in the communities, I can leave you a link. And if you're on YouTube and you don't know about the community, when you go to my channel, there's like a button at the top that says communities. And when you go there, there's a feed there. It's where I leave you guys notes. I post pictures of our finished projects on there, but you guys can also post on there. I would love to see your projects, by the way. And I'll also put a link on there for the Besties Retreat as well. And when I'm drying this, any area where I still see that it's white, I know that that's not dry, so I'll continue to dry that. And so I know there's discussion on whether or not you should use your dryers. Pin Art says that its best case is if you leave this base coat overnight to dry. But y'all know I'm not good at following the rules. I use my dryer mainly because we're here live together. Um, but I guess if you want really deep cracks, your best bet is to let this part dry overnight. But I don't have overnight because we're hanging out right now. So I'm going to use my dryer. And again, you guys see I'm moving this constantly because I don't want to get any bubbles anywhere. And I don't want to rush this. It's still a little bit tacky. So we're going to keep drying. And you guys can see the little date stamps that are on there. I love creating the paper, and there's so many little Easter eggs in here. There's a really faint bird cage in the background. There's little bees on here, and this paper actually has a visual texture to it. It's almost like canvas, really. And so, aside from the obvious things, there are a lot of really subtle design elements that you really don't see until you get the paper in person. And some of them you won't see until you actually decoupage over a white background. So those of you who've been hanging out with me all month, have you guys made any projects inspired by any other projects that we've done together? I'm curious. I know I've seen a couple inside of the recycled group, recycled upcycling and decoupage group. And I've had at least one posted on the Facebook communities, which is awesome. I love seeing what you guys create. And whether you guys are creating something that you've been inspired by, something that you've seen me do, or maybe you bought something from us from Whatnot and you made something with it. I would love, love, love to see that. Now, this is part two, and it's like clear. And I always stir this to make sure that all the different elements are really integrated in here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to do some short strokes in one area, and we're going to use our larger brush and do some larger strokes in another area. So if I remember correctly, we did this part was all little small strokes. And if you want like really thin hairline ones, just use less medium. That's why I like to use more medium in some places and less in others so I can get like a variation. And I'm kind of looking at it from the side because I can tell if I've gone over an area. Okay. And then for this other area, I'm going to use my big brush and we're going to do big strokes, right? And like long big strokes too. And the reason why I'm doing different brushes and different strokes is because I want to test my theory about the fine line crackle. I have a thesis, but we're going to check it and see if it's correct. Because we love doing experiments around here, right? Where experimentation goes, creativity follows. And so I always like to stretch my knowledge of products and processes. And now I'm going to dry this layer. And when I dry this layer, I dry it and then I like really apply as much heat as I can without bubbling my decoupage paper. I really do feel like the heat encourages the cracks to form. Oh, thank you, Peggy, for waiting for your retailer. That's good. A lot of the retailers have theirs, but if you have a regular retailer and they haven't gotten their stock yet, you guys, they'll have it. It's coming soon. The weather caused some problems. Um, and then I had some brand new retailers come on too, who they just happened to come on the tail end of a new release, which is just not good because the volume of orders we get into our warehouse is so much. Is that there a little bit of a bottleneck happens, but I'm hoping that we'll be caught up by the end of next week. And so I'm drying this and I'm warming it up because I really want those cracks to form. Some of my paper is not adhering. I may go in with some gel medium, or maybe I'll use the decoupage medium. Something with a little bit more body than the varnish to get those pieces to lay down. And there may be some moisture in this wood too that's causing it to lift a little bit. So hopefully by waiting and then going in with something with a little thicker, a little more body, I can get those to tack down. I'm always pushing the limits of stuff, y'all. So sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But if you guys show up, you'll watch me make the mistakes and then you'll know what not to do. Yes, I painted. So, hey, Kathy, our first layer of paint was red, and then we went over with the darker milk paint. And so we wet distressed, and there is some red showing through, and you'll actually see more red showing through when we go through and wax it. Hopefully, that's my intention. Now, Kathy, I see that you're watching the vertical. If you want to be able to see better, you can pop off of this live and then come back to the horizontal live, and then that way you can see everything better. Unless you prefer watching it vertically, you can, but it does cut off a lot of the image on the vertical screen. And I can see the crack-a-lacking is already starting, y'all. And I can see here that my cells over here are larger. And let's look over here. Hmm. I have large and small over here. I keep looking at this upside down. Let's see, this was the area where we went in with the smaller marks. And I think these are smaller. They're still kind of forming, so I don't know. So we're going to have to see. I think I'm right, though. Of course, I think I'm right, right? We think we're always right. I'm going to try to do two things at once here. We're going to see how it works out for me. Oh, there's so many beautiful cracks, and you guys can't see them yet. But when I put the dark wax on, you'll see the crack-a-lacking. Now, I'm going to do a couple of things. In the middle, I don't want it to get really, really dark, although I don't think it will. That's a weird puddle, and it didn't crack either. That's interesting. I've never had that happen. I have a couple of puddles here where I put a little bit too much product, but it's fine. And it didn't crack in those places. It may crack if I leave it long enough. I'm using the heat to kind of encourage the crack-a-lacking. Okay. I think that is good. Now for the magic. We're going to add some wax. So I'm going to be using, this is just regular brie wax. Brie wax, is that how you pronounce it? And this is an ebony color, is what we're using today. Because I want my paint to be really dark, so I'm going to use the ebony versus the brown. And our image here is basically black, so I think it's going to look good. And I have my janky wax brush here that I'm going to use. You guys think I should wash this brush? I don't think so. Generally, I don't need to. It'll soften as soon as it comes into contact with wax, so it's fine. It really is. It looks janky, but it works really good. And I also have my round brush, but I think I want to use this one, especially because I kind of want to go around the edges first. Oh, it's so yummy. I'm going to use less wax everywhere else, though. Whoops. Stuff is falling over there, y'all. Oh, can you guys see all that crack-a-lacking? Let me show you. I don't know that I got a difference in size of cracks. Let me see if I can. Let's see. We used a larger brush over here. I don't know if my cracks are necessarily bigger, but I will say there are fewer cracks over here. And there are far more cracks over here where I used my smaller brush and I made the smaller marks. The cracks over here are a little bit larger, but not that much larger. But I also don't have as many. So I don't know. Maybe my theory is wrong about the size of the brush. But I did get far more cracks over on this side where I used the smaller brush strokes. And then now I'm going to go in on with my paint. I did adhere those pieces down. And these are sealed, those pieces of paper too. And ordinarily I would go over with clear wax first, but I really do want this milk paint to be really dark. So I'm going right in with the black wax. And so the milk paint will absorb this wax, will buff off the extra off the top, and that will seal this and protect it. And the more you guys buff your wax, the shinier it will get. So be mindful of that when you're buffing. If you don't want it to be shiny, don't buff it a lot. And I do have my poor wax towel over here. And I'm going to go through and we're going to buff off any of that extra wax. Let me get that off of there. And anywhere where I like distress back to that red, I'm going to try to pull a little bit more wax off so that we can see more of that red. And that paint really sucked up that wax too. It was thirsty. Okay. So if you weren't here earlier, I wet distressed to show the red paint that was underneath. And so I want to make sure that my efforts were worth it, right? So I am trying to wipe back those areas, wipe some of the wax off so that we can see that red. Maybe I should have done my crackle on these leaves. Then they would have resisted a little bit more. And they would be more obvious. They are sealed though, so I can get the wax off. I just need to use a little elbow grease here. And anywhere where it didn't adhere, I'm just going to have to trim those because once I wax it, I'm not going to be able to glue it anymore. My little wax brush. So anywhere where I'm seeing anything looking like stark or, like it doesn't belong, I'm going to go in and add some wax. Okay. And I think that's it. What do you guys think? Yes? No? Maybe so? So there's a couple of things. If I had to do this all over again, I would probably go over my red areas with some clear wax first, just so those places wouldn't get dark so quickly. Because I can see the red, but it's really super subtle, and I would like for it to be less subtle. My leaves over here, I have a couple that didn't adhere well. And if you're going to do this, I would be patient and let this paint dry completely first, and then adhere this so that you won't have that happen. Because I'm going to have to go in and cut those now. I don't think I'm going to be able to get those to adhere, but I'm going to try. Y'all know I'm going to try. We're going to see what happens. But for the most part, though, I do love this project. I think the black wax was a really good choice for my crackle as opposed to the brown. Because of the color of the paper. So just a quick recap, you guys. We started off with the plain Lazy Susan from the thrift store. I used white primer in the middle where the paper was decoupaged. We did fussy cut out these leaves on the side, and we painted the back of the paper white so that the leaves would show up on the dark surface that's on the back. We started out with a base coat of red chalk style paint, and then we put on the dark milk paint, and we distressed it back so that the red is peeking through. And the red is peeking through, but the dark wax did kind of overtake it a little bit. So I would, if I were to do this over again, and I already said this, but we're recapping, I would go over those red parts with some clear wax first, so that when you put on the dark wax, they didn't get so dark and they weren't so subtle. I would like for them to show up a little bit more, but I do think that it's really pretty. What do you guys think? And then, of course, we have the crackle over the decoupage paper, which really does take it to the next level. And so I'm going to let this dark wax settle a little bit and set up probably for a couple of days. And then I'll go over this with a coat of clear wax and buff it out. And that will be the protective layer on this surface, will be the clear wax. Because now that I put wax on it, I can't go over it with any varnish or anything else. So that is it for our start to finish project for today's quick craft with Royce. Unquick craft with Royce. But we did finish it, start to finish, right? And I hope that you guys will consider some of the things we did today on your next project. I hope that at the very least, I made you think about a new possibility. I am going to hang this rag out somewhere where it's open and it's off gas safely. I don't want to ball this up and put it somewhere because it can combust if you do that. So I have a spot where I'll have this laid out completely flat so that it can off gas any wax that's on there. Just something that I always like to talk about because that wax can be dangerous. And I think that's all I have. Unless you guys had any questions, that is it. Thank you so much. I know the fussy cut leaves. I wish I could have brought them out a little bit more, but maybe the subtlety is nice though, right? You know, say we'll see. I wonder if I can take some wood glue. I'm gonna try to tack those down with some wood glue, but I do think there's maybe some moisture underneath there. So I'm gonna let it chill and dry out for a little bit. And then we'll see. And even my little white area right here. Oh yeah. And if I had to do over again, I would probably go in with a more opaque paint and really try to match that with this background. But this bird's belly is light, so this doesn't look like completely right. It looks like it might belong there. But that's our project for today. Oh yeah, and we used the recycled botanical blocks, the new botanical blocks decoupage paper. This is the neutral side. One side is this side is neutral like this, and the other side is um, pink and green. You can tell I'm a child of the 80s because I really do like that color combination. The other side's more colorful, and then the right side, we only use the top portion of the right side today. So I still have plenty of paper to use for other projects. If you guys are looking for Roycycle decoupage paper, you can find it at roycycles.com. And remember, you guys, we experimented today, right? I wasn't sure how things were going to turn out or if they were going to turn out. We tried some things. Some of them worked out really well. Some of the things I would tweak. But it's through that experimentation that we find out those things. So remember, you guys, please make time in your creative process for playing, for experimenting, because that's where the growth in your creativity happens. Where experimentation goes, creativity follows. You guys have a blessed day because David and I will be back tonight for chatting and crafting with Royce and David at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope you guys can join us. Other than that, you guys have a blessed day and we will see you next time.